I grew up in a quiet little town, tucked deep in the mountains of Kentucky. I won't mention the name of the college I attended, but it was a tiny university in a town barely 20 minutes from home. I was a freshman in 2021, and though things were mostly back to normal, the aftermath of the pandemic still lingered. It affected almost everything, especially the dorms. Most students didn't want to stay on campus, so they rented apartments nearby. I couldn't afford that. My family didn't have much, so I stayed in the dorms and drove home on weekends. It wasn't ideal, but I wanted that real college experience. Friends, late-night talks, all of it. On move-in day, I met my roommate. The school had given her my number beforehand, which felt a little invasive, but I went with it. She texted me first. She seemed nice, polite, a bit distant. In person, she was the same, kind of quiet, but with this air of confidence, or maybe entitlement. Once, while unpacking, she said something that stuck with me. She looked at my side of the room and said, "Everyone had their own rooms last semester because of the low enrollment." I did, until you got assigned here. She didn't sound angry, just disappointed. I didn't know what to say, so I laughed awkwardly and changed the subject. During the week, she was barely there. Most nights, she stayed in her boyfriend's dorm. It worked for me. I liked having the space to myself. But then came that first Monday morning. I had gone home for the weekend, like I always did, and came back around 6 a.m. My first class wasn't until 10, so I decided to crash for a few more hours. About 10 minutes after I laid down, I felt the edge of my bed dip, like someone had leaned on it. I froze. It was light, just a little pressure. Then it lifted. At first, I thought maybe I imagined it. I rolled over, and she was there, facing the wall, asleep. The next weekend, same thing. I came back early Monday morning, dropped my bag, and laid down. Minutes later, the mattress sank again. But this time, it wasn't the edge. It was the whole side, like someone sat down right next to me. I held still, my breath shallow. After a few seconds, I heard them hop off. The floor creaked. The air shifted. I forced myself to look. She was still lying in her bed, motionless, facing the wall. I told myself I was overtired. Maybe my imagination was playing tricks. But the third time, there was no explaining it away. It was early Monday. I walked in. She was already there, facing my side of the room this time. Her eyes were closed, but something about it didn't look like sleep. I got into bed and turned to the wall. 5 minutes later, the bed dipped, slowly. I clenched my eyes shut. I could feel the warmth of someone sitting beside me. Then, a hand rested on the back of my neck. Not hard, not choking, just holding. My pulse was pounding in my ears. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. After what felt like an eternity, the pressure lifted. The mattress rose. I didn't wait. I jumped out of bed, grabbed my phone, and ran out into the hallway. I called my mum from the stairwell, sobbing. She reported everything to the school. They moved me out that day. When campus security asked if I wanted to involve police, I said no. There was no proof, just my word and my fear. But I'll never forget something she said earlier that semester. "My old roommate didn't stay long." She never said why. Later, I remembered her drawer, locked tight, filled with bottles of medication. She said it was for her skin. Maybe it was. Or maybe it wasn't. A week after moving out, she texted me, said I'd left a book behind. I didn't want to see her again, but I agreed to get it, pretending everything was fine. When I walked in, she wasn't there, thank God. I grabbed my stuff, turned to leave, and she was suddenly standing in the doorway. No footsteps, no sound, just there. She smiled slightly and asked, "Where's your new room?" I lied, told her it was on the first floor near the stairs. She kept asking for details. Which hall, which side, what it was near. I just smiled, said I didn't remember, and brushed past her. I never saw her again. Sometimes I wonder if she was sleepwalking or testing boundaries, seeing how close she could get before I woke up. My mum thinks one morning she wasn't just holding my neck. She might have been seconds from squeezing. I'll never know. And honestly, I don't want to. The second story happened a couple years later, this time in northern England, at a small place called Haverley University. I studied data analytics, which meant lots of late nights. And when your laptop's dying and the Wi-Fi in your dorm is garbage, the business building's computer lab becomes your best friend. That night, it was just past 10 when I swiped my ID and stepped inside. The air was cold, unnaturally cold, the kind of cold that feels like it's seeping through the floor. The hall lights flickered, that faint buzzing sound from old fluorescent bulbs echoing down the corridor. It was quiet, too quiet. I went straight to the second floor lab, logged in, and started working. By 11:30, I was deep into my dataset when I heard it, a door slamming somewhere down the hall. I froze. The cleaning crew had finished hours ago, and there shouldn't have been anyone else here. I brushed it off, turned back to my work. Then came the footsteps, heavy, slow, the kind that don't try to be quiet. They announced announced themselves. I stared at my screen, pretending not to notice, hoping whoever it was would just walk by. Instead, the footsteps stopped. Right outside the lab, there's a small glass window in the door. I could have looked, but I couldn't bring myself to. Then, the handle rattled. Not once, not twice, over and over, violently, like someone trying to get in. It went on for nearly half a minute before stopping. Then came the slow retreat of footsteps down the hall. I tried to tell myself it was a student messing around, but I couldn't focus anymore. Every sound made me jump. About 10 minutes later, I heard something again, but not from the hallway this time. From above, the ceiling. I looked up, and one of the panels shifted. The faintest creak followed, the sound of weight pressing down. Someone was crawling up there. That was it for me. I yanked out my flash drive, grabbed my backpack, and bolted. The hallway felt endless, long, dim, with only the hum of the lights above me. I reached the stairwell, pushed the door open, and started down. Then I made the mistake of looking up. On the landing above me stood a man, torn jacket, greasy hair, pale face half hidden by shadow, but his mouth was wide open, like he was grinning. He didn't move, he just stared down at me. I ran. I don't think my feet even touched half the stairs. I hit the first floor, slammed through the front doors, and sprinted across campus until I was back in my dorm, heart pounding like I'd just escaped something wrong. The next morning, I went back to hand in my assignment. The lab looked normal, bright, quiet, harmless. But when I glanced up, one of the ceiling tiles was gone, the exact one above where I'd been sitting. Another near the corner was loose. Someone had been up there, watching, waiting. I don't know if he was the same man I saw in the stairwell, but I do know this. If I hadn't packed up when I did, I might not have made it out at all. Now, no matter what, I never study alone after dark, and I bought a new laptop because I'm never setting foot in that building again.